So I am not even joking. After like 5, maybe 6 more pressure waves, I felt a ton of pressure down there. And I told the nurse to come back in, and she checked me and she said that I was complete and that I could start pushing. So, you know, when you first start pushing, generally, you just do a couple of pushes while you're waiting for the doctor to come in. And I was laying on my back from when she had done the cervical check, but they had put the like rolled up sheet underneath my hip to give you more oxygen or whatever, give the baby more oxygen. And that made it a lot easier for me to be on my back. So I just stayed in that position to push. At the beginning, I didn't want to be on my back to push because I was like that with my daughter, and I felt like it stopped the urges to push, and when I just wasn't the best position for me. However, I was really comfortable in that position, and I felt, at least for now, that it was fine staying in that position. So I started pushing with each pressure wave that came, and I didn't really feel like there was a lot of progress that was being made. With my daughter, I could feel everything. Like I could feel her coming down, and I could feel just every push was doing something. I felt it. With him, I couldn't really feel that. I don't know. It was really weird because everybody was saying I was doing such a good job, but I didn't feel it. So anyways, after about 15 minutes of pushing with the pressure waves, I pushed really hard with one of the pressure waves. And this kind of pushing I'm going to call purple pushing, which is a common term. And that is where you're pushing so hard that you literally, your face turns purple, right? This is something that I had done with my daughter, and I didn't want to have to do it again because I wanted my body to really do a lot of the pushing itself. I wanted my body to go along with the urges to push. However, I would push as hard as I could, and then all of a sudden I would get this intense urge to push harder, and I would push even harder. And that's when the purple the purple push would come, is that last little bit of pushing. And I was fine with that. It's what it is. But I felt like that was my body saying, nope, give it one last push. And I just was able to push a little bit harder. After I pushed super hard, it felt so good to push that hard, like so good. And all of a sudden I felt this huge burst, like a water balloon. Like I had my eyes closed, but I just imagined, I pictured this water balloon just bursting, because that's exactly what it felt like. And when I opened my eyes, like as soon as it happened, I saw everybody in the room. So there was the 2 nurses, one was holding my leg, the other one was down there helping with the pushing, you know, doing all that stuff down there. Then there was my daughter, the sitter who was watching her, the birth photographer, and my husband who was holding my other leg, waiting for the doctor to come in so that he could get the gloves on and whatnot to help catch him. I saw everybody jump back, and basically everyone in the room, including myself, got sprayed. And my daughter yells, "Splash!" And everybody just starts laughing. I wasn't laughing because I was just in my own little world. But yeah, the nurse said it was something about how, you know, some of the amniotic fluid had gotten, you know, trapped up in like a little bubble basically in the amniotic sac. And when I was pushing him, that had come down and it just burst or whatever. Whatever it was, it felt amazing once it burst. It was like a huge relief. I don't know how to explain it, but it felt amazing once it burst. And things got really crazy after that. So I had 2 more pressure waves after that burst. And the first one, I purple pushed. So I pushed as hard as I could and then would get that sudden urge to push even harder. And I would push and then my face would turn purple. All the blood would rush to my face, like whatever. I did that 3 times and it felt so good, like so good. The best way for me to describe it was that I had to push harder. Like it wasn't, I can push even harder than this. No, it was like I had to do it. It had to be done. It felt amazing, and it was what was happening. And for me, I felt like that was my body helping me push as hard as I needed to. That's the only way I can describe it. And then I could feel him with those 3 purple pushes. I could really feel him moving down, and I could feel him moving down quickly. So at this point, I was like wondering why the doctor wasn't in there, and why, mostly because my husband was supposed to catch, and she had said that she would come in and get him gloves and a gown and everything, and that he could catch, but she wasn't in there. And I was like, why isn't she in here? Because like he's coming. And this is just a thought in my head. But anyways, I had another pressure wave that came really quickly after that one. And I purple pushed once and could definitely feel the head down there. And then I purple pushed a second time, and I felt that ring of fire that people talk about, which I don't remember feeling with my daughter. I don't know whether it just didn't happen, like I was just stretched nicely enough to where it didn't feel like a burning sensation, or if I just don't remember it. But even right after it happened, I remember noting that I don't remember feeling it, but I definitely felt it this time. So I felt the ring of fire, and he was crowning, and okay, the nurse who was holding my leg, she looks down there and she goes, "Oh no, hold on," and then literally drops my leg, runs out the door. I'm not even joking. Runs out the door screaming, "Dr. Mullen," which was the name of the doctor, screaming her name at the top of her lungs. I didn't even hesitate. She said, "Hold on." I literally said, "Nope." I took a breath and I pushed as hard as I could. It didn't matter if I pushed or not. My body would have pushed him out. I know it. But I took a deep breath and I just kept right on pushing. And the nurse who was down there actually caught him. The doctor, I had my eyes closed, so I don't know exactly what was going on, but I didn't open my eyes until the doctor was already in there. But all I hear is my eyes were closed, and I pushed him out, and I could feel his head come out. And then the doctor comes running in, and she's gloving up, and she's telling the nurse how to catch my son. You know, when the posterior shoulder comes out, you got to lift up, and then you got to turn your hand this way, and you got to do this. She's literally telling him how to catch him. She was trained to do the pushing and the catching and whatnot. She just had never done it. This is her first time ever doing it. And so I pushed him out, like whatever, and the doctor was, the nurse caught him and, you know, put him on my chest or whatnot. And then the doctor kind of swooped in and did everything else. She said that his cord was a tiny bit short, but he was able to be right on my belly, and I was just like really relieved when I saw him. I was just glad that he was here. We all joked about what was going on, like the fact that the nurse had delivered him, the burst of the water balloon, as I like to describe it. And the doctor delivered his placenta. My husband had cut the cord once it stopped pulsating. But as soon as my placenta came out, the doctor got super serious. Like there was a definite, because as soon as I felt the placenta coming down, I had a big contraction, and I looked at her and I asked her, "Can I push?" And she was like, "Yeah, whatever." She just kind of nodded. I don't know, but I pushed. Anyways, I pushed the placenta out, and then I was looking at her, and literally the look on her face just went completely dead serious. And she was then practically elbow deep inside me, and she was massaging from the inside and then pushing really hard down from the outside on my stomach. She did this for quite a while, and then she told the nurse to get the Pitocin right away, and that she needed to have the Cytotec on standby. And I looked at her and I literally said, "No, ma'am, I won't have Cytotec." And I said, "Is there something different?" And the doctor looked at me, again, dead serious. And she said, "Well, Cytotec will have to do because you're hemorrhaging." And I do not like this doctor. I've had bad experiences with her at other births, not mine, like other people's births. And so that was really annoying to me, but I told her, I said, let's see what the Pitocin does and then we'll go from there. But I do not want Cytotec. But she, I guess, I don't know why, but she looked at me nicely and she said, you know, we'll see how the Pitocin works and then we'll go from there. But we do have the Cytotec on standby. And I was like, okay. You know, I just expressed that I didn't want the Cytotec. So thankfully the Pitocin worked to stop the bleeding enough to where they were comfortable. And I had it administered through my IV. So I'd had the hep lock in, so they were able to just hook it up to my IV and put the Pitocin in. And they did 20 milligrams. I think it was in milligrams. It might have been, I don't know, smaller. I don't know. They did 20 at first, and then they did 40 after that, just to really help control the bleeding. So that was going while the doctor was stitching me up. She had said that I had a 2nd degree tear, which I don't know what degrees of tear there are because I didn't tear with my daughter. Okay, bear with me while I change his diaper as I'm talking here. But I didn't know what degrees of tear there were. And, oh buddy. So I didn't know how bad of a tear I had, but she said that it was a pretty good tear, which didn't surprise me because there was no one there, like, because the nurse caught him, and because there was no one really there supporting my perineum while I was pushing and things like that. So it didn't surprise me that I had torn, especially a pretty bad tear. So she stitched me up, and my husband had said that it was like an inch tear, I guess. So, bless you. Oh, goodness. So it was a pretty bad one, but like I said, it didn't surprise me at all that I tore because of how it happened, and it happened so quickly. So that is what happened, basically. He was able to be on my chest the entire time for about 2 hours after I gave birth, and then they started to do the assessments. They were able to get the APGAR scores while he was on me, and they got his birth weight and everything like after that was done. So I think that the hospital staff really did a good job of keeping our helping us achieve our wishes for what was in our birth plan. So there are a couple of things that with HypnoBabies, they want you to visualize your birthing time and your birth and whatnot, and really just it helps with positive thinking. It helps, you know, with your subconscious, and visualization is something that they believe in and that they stress a lot. So I had done a lot of visualization, and there were several things that I noticed that were in my visualization that actually happened. It didn't happen the way that I visualized it, but several things in my visualizations happened. I had wanted to, as I said earlier, I wanted my birthing time to be in the evening time when my daughter was asleep, and that way I could go through most of it and then we could wake her up. That happened, so that was awesome. I had wanted to be in the hospital no more than, I didn't want to be in the hospital for very long. And in my visualizations, I had said 2 hours, that I wanted to, no more than 2 hours, that I was actually going through my birthing time in the hospital before I actually pushed him out. But I had also said I wanted to go into the hospital at 8 centimeters. I got into the hospital at 7 centimeters, very close, but I was in the hospital for 3 hours before I actually pushed him out. And so that to me is very close to what was in my visualization, because it went along with the 1 centimeter an hour. So I went in at 7 centimeters, pushed him out, 10 centimeters, 3 hours later. So it was 1 centimeter an hour while I was in the hospital. And that was essentially the goal with being in the hospital no more than 2 hours at 8 centimeters. So that I feel like is very close to what I had visualized. I had said that in my visualizations, I had visualized him being born around 10 a.m. He was born at 9:49, so I think that's pretty awesome. And I had a goal of going through my birthing time on a weekend, because then both my photographer and my sitter would have their husbands home to watch their kids while they were able to be with me. And that happened. I had him on a Saturday, so I went through my birthing time Friday evening, Friday night, Saturday morning. So that was awesome. I also had wanted to have my active portion of my birthing time be about 10 hours long. With my daughter, my birthing time was 75 hours, and I just didn't really want that, but I pictured 10 as a good goal, because then that was like 1 centimeter an hour, blah, 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 blah. And I had started pumping at 9 p.m. The pressure waves didn't really start to get really consistent at 2 to 3 minutes apart until about midnight, really. At least that I was like, yes, definitely are closer together at 2 to 3 minutes apart for a good duration of time. So it was about 10 hours that I feel like I was actively in my birthing time. So that was definitely something that was in my visualization that also came true, I guess you could say. So I'm a firm believer in visualizations now, because there was so many small little aspects that I had visualized that really actually came true. So that's just really awesome. As far as my experience with HypnoBabies and my birthing time, I feel like it really helped. I didn't feel like I really struggled through most of my birthing time. My contractions, I felt like, were really easily managed. The hardest part to handle as far as the intensity of the contractions was probably the last hour, and that's it, when my pushing pressure waves got really intense, and it was getting really close to the time that I would be actually giving birth to him. So I definitely feel like HypnoBabies helped me out a lot. Getting through each of the pressure waves was a lot easier for me, and then having my husband help me with the relaxation techniques and things like that, I felt was really nice. It was still similar to how the Bradley method was, in that he had certain phrases that he would say during the more intense pressure waves, but I still felt like it was very helpful. The visualization for me obviously was like a big thing, because I do feel like that affected how my birthing time and his birth went. As I had said before, like during each pressure wave, I would just get down on my knees in the position that was comfortable for me, and then as soon as it was done, I would get right back up and I would just continue what I was doing. So I felt like the entire time that I was actually in my birthing time, it was a really relaxing, time. I don't feel like I wasn't able to come back from the pressure waves. I was able to just kind of recover nicely and just continue what I was doing. Even when it got really intense, I just still feel like I was really relaxed. I didn't listen to the tracks like the entire time. I listened to them at certain times, during my birthing at home. I didn't listen to them while I was in the hospital, just because things happened so quickly. And so I can't say how those tracks particularly helped me, because, it was more of my husband cueing me and me using the techniques that I had practiced on my own without the tracks cueing me and stuff like that. But the techniques that I learned from HypnoBabies absolutely helped me 100% have a wonderful birth and a wonderful birthing time that I felt like I had a lot more control over as opposed to the birth that I had with my daughter, which was just done with the Bradley method. My husband really liked the HypnoBabies. He felt like he was able to really help me, and he liked the way that it went, and he definitely feels like it helped me, that just the techniques that I was doing by myself really helped me, but also that his cues really helped me. And he said that it's definitely something that we will do in the future with any subsequent children, which we do plan on having more kids. So we're both really pleased with HypnoBabies, and I felt like it was an amazing program that really helped me just handle the pressure waves and handle that birthing time and the birth really well. So I give it an A+++++. And that's my labor and delivery story, if that's what you want to call it, or my birthing time and birth. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, or maybe if I said something that wasn't really clear or whatever, you can always post them below or send me a message. And I hope you guys enjoyed this story. I'll give you a shot of the little guy right now. Oh, he's awake. Oh, where are you going? Hi. Are you gonna look at the camera? Oh, look at the camera. Oh, there he is. Hi. Oh. So that's my little guy. Are you looking? What do you see? So I will talk to you guys later for more video updates. Bye.